Hello, I'm W.T. Edmondson, and welcome to Focus. Freedom often causes unbelievable silence. Well, you know, our intent basically is to educate the public and motivate our citizens to action. Our guest today is Ms. Ashley Varner, and she is a community organizer for Central Missouri Community Action. And she will tell us what this organization is all about. Welcome to Focus.
Thank you, WT.
All righty. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and then tell us, why are you so passionate about what you do?
That's a great question. First of all, thank you for inviting me here today. Again, my name is Ashley Varner. I work with Central Missouri Community Action. I have been individually involved with CMCA because I grew up in poverty, and so I can relate to a lot of the families that we serve and a lot of the families that I've worked with.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm married. I have 2 young children. Keep me very busy, and my husband of 5 years, and I'm not from Missouri. I'm originally from Northeast Iowa, so sometimes you can hear a little Minnesota accent come out. I have lived a short stint in New York City and really enjoyed the progressive culture there and some of the entertainment that they can provide, and then decided to move back here to the Midwest so we can be closer to family and to start our own family. Okay. And we've been here since 2009. So.
Okay, tell us, what is Central Missouri Community Action all about?
Central Missouri Community Action is a nonprofit agency that our mission is to empower individuals and families to achieve self-reliance. We cover 8 counties in Central Missouri, and in empowering those individuals, not only do we want to create lifelong opportunities, but also to be a hand up to them instead of a hand out to them. Central Missouri Community Action is Head Start in our communities. We are early childhood development. Head Start is utility assistance for energy, such as your electric bill, your gas bill. Central Missouri Community Action is Section 8 housing. It is asset development, such as micro business loans, such as financial education classes. Central Missouri Community Action is poverty simulations in our communities. It is Step Up to Leadership classes for low-income individuals. It is photo voice classes for our low-income youth or at-risk youth for after school. Central Missouri Community Action is weatherization. Central Missouri Community Action is our foster grandparents program, some mentoring for folks. Central Missouri Community Action is involved in the communities through community organizing, to mobilize our communities to create social change. We are involved, and we form what's considered community action teams that represent all sectors, different sectors of our community, to alleviate a condition or a cause of poverty, if that may be public transportation, or if that may be grandparents raising grandchildren, and to create social change through our community and through education. Mm-hmm.
So it sounds as though your organization is really about collaboration.
We are sincerely about collaboration.
Okay. How long has this organization been around?
We were formed in the 50s when Community Action was President, oh, you would ask that. The President Johnson, I believe, he signed the Equal Opportunity. He started Community Action, so we will celebrate as our Central Missouri Community Action our 50th year anniversary, birthday, whatever you want to call it, in December of this year. So we've been around for 50 years.
Oh, okay, okay. Well, being around that long, then I know you're going to have a lot of information to share with us today. Tell me, what message do you most wish to leave with our audience today?
Well, that's a great question. I believe that poverty is man-made, and only by collaborating and mobilizing our communities can we end poverty.
Okay. As I spoke about you earlier, I spoke about passion. Having met you on a couple of occasions, your passion for what you do exudes out of you. Where does that come from?
I know what it's like to be down and out. I know what it's like to live in poverty and live in crisis. I know what it's like to try and raise my own children. I know what it's like to be bullied, and I know what it's like to be on both the receiving end of food stamps and to work on the other side of treating humans with equality, if it comes to race, if it comes to socioeconomic status. To me, it's faith-based, so my spirituality is very strong, and I believe in doing the right thing. So maybe that's where I get my passion.
Okay. Your organization published a 2014 State of the State Poverty in Missouri publication. As we look at some of those findings, I was somewhat amazed, somewhat shocked, also angry. Probably summarize it for me. The publication indicated that 6 million plus citizens in Missouri, which is approximately 948,000 people, which equates to about 100% below the federal poverty level. First question is, what is the federal poverty level?
Okay. I'd like to answer this two ways.
Okay.
And one is the State of the State Poverty Report. I'd like to give some information and background on that report.
Okay.
That report was actually printed by our state association, which is considered MACA, the Missouri Association for Community Action. And that state association is comprised of 19 community action agencies that are all members of that.
Okay.
So with that being said, there is a group, coalition. It's called Missourians to End Poverty, MEP, and this is a statewide coalition made up of organizations, individuals, businesses that their passion and concern is to alleviate poverty. And so that group, subcommittee, came up with brought together the individuals that brought the research together to comprise this report. With that being said, the federal poverty guidelines, let's talk about that.
Okay.
It is a measure of poverty. And it's based upon the cost of food, interestingly enough. For a family of 4, so 2 adults, so if you consider myself, I'm married and I have 2 very young children. A family of 4, 100% of the federal poverty guideline, meaning how much income you bring in a year, is $23,850. So you have to think about, that's 100% of your federal poverty level. So if the way that we measure that is if I make more than that, I may reach 125% or 150%. And all the different programs that CMCA offers are all income eligible programs. And so maybe we're going to offer a step up to leadership class, and we can only have individuals in that class that meet or are below 100% of that federal poverty guideline, based upon our state funding or federal funding.
Okay. And now, what is the federal poverty level?
The federal poverty level is a measure of income based on food costs.
Okay. It's about 138%.
100% is, for a family of 4, is about almost $24,000. So basically, if they make more than that, they would just meet a different percentage of the guideline.
Okay.
Of the level.
The report also spoke about extreme poverty, so that means that these individuals would be even below what the federal government says poverty is.
Correct. So for one person to be at 100% of the federal poverty guideline is about $11,900. So somebody has to be making less than that, about $12,000 a year, to be considered in extreme poverty. And about 417,000 Missourians live under 50% of that federal poverty level. What that means or what that looks like on our everyday running into humans, case-by-case basis, is those that could be a 2-parent household like myself that has young children that may be receiving TANF, which is temporary assistance for needy families, and on average, recipient only receives about $292 a month. So if you're thinking of your income if you can live on your income and healthy within your means or without your means, that if you can subsist on only an average of about $300 a month, that's pretty extreme poverty.
Yeah, wow. That's even hard to even fathom, someone living, even trying to live on that. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Talking about poverty, you know, in the press, we've all heard about fast food workers, mm-hmm. And retail type situations. Have you know where they usually settle on that poverty level?
So if you consider poverty, I'm going to come at this kind of full circle here. Poverty, what poverty looks like. You know, we need to dispel some myths about poverty. And poverty, a lot of times, is single mothers with multiple children. They could be the elderly or the disabled, and they're receiving an SSI check for $600, $700, $800, and that's their only income. They could be people that have experienced a natural disaster and have lost everything and don't have family nearby to help out with expenses. But the majority of folks are single mothers, and it's all across all race and class lines. Ask me again what your question was.
Well,
I lost that.
I guess we're thinking about what we see throughout the press.
With the
relative
fast food
to
workers.
fast food workers and retail workers and so forth.
So on average, your minimum wage, $7.35 an hour. Okay, so if I'm working at a fast food restaurant or if I'm working at a retail store, I'm typically not working full-time. I'm probably working part-time or up to 30 plus hours, but really probably not full-time, because then I would need health insurance,
right.
and we can discuss the Medicaid issue as well. And the issue here is that those folks are probably going to fall below 100% of the federal poverty level, mm-hmm. if not 125%, simply because a living wage, for an example, and just in Cole County alone, which is a county that I work in, one of the counties I work in and one of our counties of our coverage area, is $16.27 an hour. Okay, so with that being said, that is supposed to cover your basic needs. Now, what are your basic needs? That's food, shelter, clothing, medical. And if working for community action, I chose this profession, I have a bachelor's degree. I personally, individually, don't make a living wage here in Cole County. And I can sit here and say that with my husband has a master's degree, and he works in Central Missouri as well. And he also works in social work, and again, a passion for him, but he doesn't make a living wage. But together, we make a living wage to be able to support our children, child care expenses, food, shelter, all of it.
Okay.
So most likely, to answer your question, they probably fall anywhere from 100 to 125% of the federal poverty level.
In your report, there was a nice little graphic that showed the increase in poverty, and the report showed from 2008 to 2012, and poverty in 2008 was 13.4%. In 2012, it's going to 16.2%. Mm-hmm. What do you think was attributing factors for that?
I would say that the problem I think it ranges from having economic development issues, such as wage inequality, unemployment, to even localized issues such as public transportation and childcare costs have risen. I will also state that I know just locally here in the capital, here in Jefferson City, based on economic development, we have lost in the last 10 years 2,500 state jobs and have not replaced one of them. So we are losing jobs, and then the jobs that we're bringing into town, so we just opened up a Chick-fil-A and we've got plans economic development wise to bring a Sam's Club to town. Great news. Everybody says, yay, we're bringing jobs to town. But what are we bringing? We're bringing low-wage jobs to town. We are not solving poverty. We're creating poverty. These folks may have access to public transportation to get to and from that job, but our local public transportation goes until about 5:30 in the evening. So if they're working second shift or third shift, then they're not able to get to that job. Some other problems are created. So economic development, I think, is a big contributor. I think, you know, the competitive wages aren't there. We are 50th out of 50 states that pay the lowest wage to our state workers. And then overall, rising costs for food, for childcare, all of those things.
So, speaking on the transportation, even though you may have a job, if you can't get the shift where there's public transportation, you're basically out of it.
Yes.
You have to depend on someone to get you to work if you don't have transportation.
That's very true. Here in Jefferson City, I'm working closely with a group called Citizens for JeffTran, and it's what we call a CAT team, a community action team, comprised of all different representatives of all different sectors, and we're trying to create new policy to create social change, to not only maintain the budget for public transportation, but expand services. So to have public transit available after 5:30 and to have it available on the weekends, because at this point none of that is here. And with being the capital of Jefferson City and knowing we want to expand and we're a growing city, to attract younger generations to build their families here as well.
Okay. Health care. Your report speaks a little bit about health care. Tell us where we stand in the state of Missouri relative to health care.
Missouri was one of the states that did not pass expansion. I will try and not input any of my personal opinions,
okay.
But I am going actively to the Capitol and listening to hearings and speaking, and I'm actively involved with Medicaid coalitions to bring expansion to the state of Missouri. Currently there is a Medicaid gap, and that is between 100% and 138% of the federal poverty level. There are many, many people without coverage. I believe 801,000 Missourians, some odd number, do not have health insurance. And with that being said, 420,000 of them are working. So over half of the people that don't have health insurance are working. And those people most likely are the same people that are working at fast food restaurants, that are working at retail stores, at gas stations, all these different things we rely on every single day. And they don't have the health care coverage. Central Missouri Community Action is not only involved in the community and wanting to bring expansion to those individuals, but we just received funding from the Foundations of Health, Public Foundation for Health, to provide insurance access to the marketplace for those folks. And so we have not navigators, but affordable. Oh goodness, what are their actual name? I'm drawing a blank.
But they basically do the same thing?
Yeah, they sign folks up on the marketplace. And as of March 31st, that's one of the first deadlines to get people signed up for the marketplace. And so we are trying to help folks navigate that system.
Speaking of the health care, as you observe the debates on the floor, you said that you visited the Capitol. What are some of the things that you've heard that just simply did not settle with you?
I will try to be positive, but there's a lack of knowledge as regards to who this affects, who the face of the uninsured is. And they're your neighbors, they're your family. They are people that try earnestly to earn a wage, that have educations, that have children that are not covered. And basic access to health care is only the right thing to do in my perception. When it comes to kind of congressional type comments, I think it's just a matter of making sure the education is there, making sure the knowledge is there for folks so that we can all make an informed decision. Unfortunately, I think sometimes the almighty dollar gets a say that might be a little too heavy in this, but as it stands, Missouri is sending thousands of dollars daily to states surrounding us because every state around us has Medicaid expansion, but not Missouri.
Okay. Thinking about health care, poverty, where does education stack up as it relates to creation of poverty?
You would think that there's a dichotomy. Correlation doesn't necessarily equal causation, but I would say that the higher level of education, you would see a lower rate of poverty. But let's be real. I've got a master's degree. My husband has a bachelor's degree. My husband has a master's degree, and we live paycheck to paycheck. And if one hot water heater goes out and then I need to buy a new car, or he lost his job, I would be in line right next to the clients and the customers that I have managed over the years and that I interact with daily and that I go out and I advocate for. Education is imperative. It is imperative, and I've seen even some TV ads locally that say, maybe getting a college education isn't as lucrative as it used to be, but in reality, a high school diploma is number one. We need a high school diploma, and there are GED programs available that CMCA offers in our counties, and we are a huge advocate for an education because we know that just having that basic GED or high school diploma will put you to the next level when it comes to finding a job.
Some might say that parents are at blame for their situations that their kids are in, that they find themselves in. What do you speak to those people that want to cast blame on the parents?
I don't think it's anybody's job to judge, WT. I think our almighty creator, I think that there's some definite self-reflection that needs to happen on a personal note, a personal aside there. I think a lot of parents are doing the best that they can do to just get by in a getting by world. I know that's the title of a book out there. But I will say that we all have to take ownership for our actions, and there are consequences to all of that. But I don't necessarily think, one, casting blame is appropriate, and two, definitely not on parents. I think it's tough enough to raise children and to try and find work.
As I looked at your report also spoke on safe and affordable housing. And how does all those three, affordable housing, education, healthcare, how does all of that mesh together when you speak of poverty?
Poverty is such a it's such a far-reaching, encompassing problem, and it creates dysfunction on so many different levels within our community. And the healthcare and the education and the three things that you mentioned, they're all pieces of this problem. And I think that looking at family development, looking at the family structure and dynamics, looking at some of the generational poverty issues is one issue that can blossom into making better choices, et cetera. We have a ton of community support in all of the counties that we serve. And even though I'm in Cole and Montauk, that doesn't, I know for a fact that all of our counties have wonderful communities. And, the education, the housing, and the healthcare, it contributes to poverty, but poverty has to be looked at as almost like every individual has a set of strings that are attached to their own individual problems, and each individual set of strings has to be cut and so looked at differently. So somebody could be in poverty simply because they experienced a natural disaster and now they have to start all over. And so that set of difficulties is going to be completely different than somebody who's experienced generational poverty, and we need to empower them to stop the pattern. So there's different sets, different situations.
What do you say to politicians that cast dispersions up on the poor?
What do I say, or what do I want to say? I think you got to witness. My passion can get the best of me from time to time, and I will come back to the sharing of knowledge, the sharing of information in regards to what poverty it really truly is, what the causes are, and how the community wants to try and alleviate the causes and conditions there. I would love to sit there and shake my finger and point at them and say, hey, you know, just because you live an entitled life, or you've had no known issues, you've known wealth and you've known privilege. I'd love to sit there and make all sorts of generalizations towards them, but I think really truly it comes down to a sharing of knowledge and information and facts. These are the facts. This is what your county looks like that you represent. This is the state. This is what the facts look like in the state of Missouri. You know, this is who you represent. These are who voted you into office, and it is their responsibility to fight for those people. That's how they got their job. They could easily be out of a job if we can mobilize people in poverty to vote.
Speaking of that,
Yes.
how do you go about doing that? As you speak with individuals, I'm amazed at the number of people who are not registered to vote. And you have situations where a city councilman or a House member may be elected with a couple of thousand votes. You know, it wouldn't take very much for that to go the other direction.
Agreed. I think there are many barriers that have been put into place, either politically that folks don't know about, as for example, maybe moving a voting location so that somebody can't get there with transportation, or putting a voting location with only hours of operation that somebody that works all day necessarily can't get to, or that target population that they don't want to see vote. So I think some of those things are happening. And one opportunity that is out there now part of Central Missouri Community Action that I'm working with Missouri Faith Voices is to bring some light to an initiative called early voting. And this initiative would not only get the access to folks to vote at least 6 weeks earlier on the ballot this fall, but it's also sending information and informing those populations that didn't know what it's like to vote, what it's like to register, doesn't have an idea of where to go, giving them now that information, because we all know that knowledge is power.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, I've been speaking with Miss Ashley Varner, and she is a community organizer with Central Missouri Community Action. They have a website. Please look them up if you need additional information. I think there are so much that contribute to poverty, and they can help you understand that a little bit better. I really appreciate the information that you've disseminated to us today, and we'll be talking.
Wonderful.
All right.
I look forward to it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hey, we'll see you next time. God bless.